Profile is presented by Inns Group, Insurance and Benefits. This week on Profile, Gracie Cavnar, founder, Recipe for Success. So who is Gracie Cavnar?
I'm someone who believes that you can do anything you want to do. Decide you want to do something, you can do it. Now, at least I think I can.
Now, how and where were you raised, and where did kind of this ideology of you can accomplish anything come from?
I grew up in San Antonio. I'm the oldest of 4 girls. For whatever reason, it was important to me to be the best at everything I tried to do. And I was always trying to do new things. So, I wasn't satisfied in the back of the class. I was always in the front of the class. I was always wanting to not be the goody two. I was definitely not the goody two-shoes. I was rebellious, and sort of like fighting words to me is, you can't do that. Maybe what drives me is proving people wrong. If they try to put different people, or different situations or different life situations, try to put barriers in my way, that's a motivating thing for me. In fact, when things are too easy, I get lazy. That doesn't work for me. Problems, that's what works for me, solving problems.
What was your first job?
I started working when I was 3 years old. I was a model. My mother had been a model, and I was tall for my age, so I'm the same height and look about the same now as I did at 9. So I kind of worked my whole life and did all kinds of modeling, fashion, voiceovers, television ads, everything. So I did that all the way through school. I put myself through college that way, and trained as an architect. And so then I practiced architecture for a while. I never stopped modeling until probably my mid-30s. And
but that's interesting. You don't find many models that are also architects.
Well, it's a different world.
Not to stereotype the whole thing, but
of course, keep in mind I'm old, and the supermodels when I was working were like Twiggy. So we didn't have the whole sort of flanks of global supermodels then that we do now. But a lot of girls, a lot of young women, and to a lesser extent young men, used modeling as a way to pay their way through school, and a lot didn't. I mean, you have everything in the world. To me, education was important. I didn't mind working kind of 24/7, which is what it ended up being. I didn't have sort of a traditional college life because I was working so much. I was like trying to fit it all in, and when you pay for your own school, you try to fit it in really fast. But yeah, I don't think it's that unusual then.
Who or what inspires you?
What inspires me are the people who every day get up and juggle everything that they have to do to put food on the table and keep a roof over their families' heads and raise their children in a thoughtful way. That's heroes' work, and it surrounds us, and it's unsung heroes, but it inspires me. I always say, if I complain, shoot me. I'm the luckiest girl in the world. I've been that single mom. I've been that person juggling a full-time job and a career and a child, and I understand the challenges of just doing it right every day, which made me know that once I was in a position where I didn't have to worry about putting a roof over my own head. When I retired, when I shut down my business, was after Bob and I married. And when I say I retired from making money. because I wanted to follow my bliss. I've always written, I always wanted to write, so I started writing for a little bit of money. Writers don't make any money. And so that to me was incredible to have the luxury to be able to do that. But yeah, I'm just not used to not working. I'd been so long a 24/7 track with the kid and the family and the job and the career and the public service, because I was always somewhat engaged in the community, that I couldn't shut that down. I couldn't just, go shopping and go to lunch with my girlfriends or travel. I mean, a lot of great things that I love to do, but I just couldn't narrow it to that. Then I have this other affliction of, if I see, that's part of you can do anything that you want to. The flip side of that is I feel an obligation that if you can do something, you should. We say that we deliver a seed to plate nutrition education, so obviously that's more than just cooking. And there are a lot of programs in Houston and across the country that
with Recipe for Success. Why this cause? Why start this type of organization?
I'm a foodie. I have always been a foodie. I learned to cook early on. A family of 4 girls. We did lots of chores. I learned that if you, in my family at least, if you cooked, you didn't have to clean up. I totally loved cooking more than cleaning up. So that was my frame of reference when it came to food. So first, I discovered, purely by accident, my kids are grown, that there were, at the time, this was in the mid-90s, vending machines in elementary schools. Well, this wasn't the case when my kids were in school, but vending machines in elementary school. So what got me just ignited was this idea, they call it a get. When you can establish a lifelong customer by snaring that customer as a 5-year-old. If a 5-year-old is a Pepsi drinker or a Coke drinker at 5, at 50 they'll be up. So that really enraged me. I mean, it enraged me, and I wanted to get to the bottom of it. And how could we change this? So I got involved in that. And when I got into that is when I discovered all this kind of like, like when you drop a pebble in a pond and you get this pooling effect. I discovered all of these consequences. And so I thought, gosh, some people are doing something about this. I should be doing something about this. We should be doing something about this in Houston. And then it was like, well, what can I do? And I spent years. I know I spent at least 10 years not only looking at what people were doing. I mean, everybody from Jamie Oliver in London, what was he up to? Alice Waters was kind of ramping up her edible schoolyard. How was that going? These different tiny little microcosms of civic engagement, around the world. Okay, what was working? Then I started looking at the research, because hospitals and universities have been researching this. They've had the data, and it was astounding. It bowled me over. We used to have this game when we travel a lot. It was like Spot the Americans, always a fat one. We thought it was a joke, but it actually is the reality. And as our whole population trends heavier and heavier. And Houston numbers, Texas numbers are some of the highest in the country. Houston, the highest in Texas.
Unsaturated. Saturated. When something's saturated, it means it's full. So if I just ate all of this basil pesto right out of the bowl.
You decide, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Recipe for Success. This is my challenge. This is what I'm gonna start. Take me through the steps. What's the first thing you did?
Starting a nonprofit is exactly like starting a business. Color me entrepreneur. It's exactly the same muscles. First, you have to be like a Pied Piper. You have to get people's attention. This is a problem. Then you have to convince them that not only should they help, that they can help, and that you can use their help, and that it won't be too painful, right? Like just a little, but the very first constituency that I approached, because I'm a foodie and because I decided that the approach I wanted to spend my time on was prevention rather than turning the Titanic.